The 24th of June, something quite amazing happened here. And 6 months down the track, well, people are still talking about it. I guess that's good. There are a lot of questions though. What really happened? Can we do it again? What was the meaning of it all? What happens next? Well, for those who want to be informed about the day, I say, here is our documentary. Watch it, enjoy it. But for those who want to understand what happened on that day, I say, come on down and walk with us. Because sometimes you just have to let the feet do all the talking.
Because no matter what nationality, no matter what colour of our skin, we are all the same and we're all precious and so dear. To understand us, walk with us.
The whale is the symbol of this country. The dark and young people, meaning the people of the sea, and they are the people of the whale, and it represents the totem of the people. So the whale dreaming to the dark and young people represents a spiritual connection to land and country.
As you can see, we have some pretty spectacular coastline and our environment. You couldn't wish for anything more beautiful. The community inside the surf club are designing their flags, which will be used for the opening ceremony and the closing ceremony of the Five Lands Walk.
What has happened today is, I think, a first for the Central Coast for Aboriginal people, indeed for the whole of the community. It started out a small group of us early in the morning at Cochrane Lagoon between McMaster's Beach and Copacabana before sunrise. The idea of getting together that early in the morning was to have some sort of service in which to open up the space for the opening ceremony and to make it culturally and spiritually safe.
We honour this day and acknowledge those who have walked on this land for thousands of years. We give thanks for each one of us who's gathered here today. Each of us have journeyed in different ways from our own country, from our own ancestors, seeking to make connection with this place and with one another.
So you're walking today, it's going to be a beautiful one and rememberable one. You won't forget. You're going to have many dreams and things will happen to you and you will hear and see for the first time. That's the greatest gift, to hold on to that dream, and to take it all in, just walking strong.
When Lila Kirby finished, whales appeared in the sea out from McMaster's Beach, and that gave us a wonderful, incredible display of dancing and breaching. We all went to the edge of the water and waved to the whales, and it was like they were waving back at us. And if nothing else went right today, I would have gone away happy with this.
The whale is our guide, our spiritual guide. And so we say it guides you from this world to the next world. Because naturally we have one life on this world, and when we all leave this world, in Aboriginal belief we say there is another world.
That's a pretty good omen, isn't it?
And the whale actually comes from that other world.
I've got everyone there too.
300 or 400 people registered to do the walk at Max this morning, And that allowed people to walk along the beach and embrace the space in a sacred way to the opening ceremony at Cochrane Lagoon.
The elders, the Potamindi elders, it was the first time that they've been invited and involved in something like the Five Lands Walk. Usually in celebrations you'd be invited one off or two off, but not a whole group of elders honoured in that way.
We meet today on the traditional homeland of the Darkin Young people, whom we acknowledge as the custodians of this land. We pay respects to their traditions, their customs, and their long and continuous culture and history. We seek permission of the ancestors and elders of this land to gather together today and to share our cultural history with our non-Indigenous brothers and sisters. And we ask our ancestors to watch over us and give us wisdom. And we affirm the continuing physical and spiritual relationship of the Darkin Young people with their land.
Smoke in traditional Aboriginal culture is very significant. It represents purification and cleansing, and I would now invite everybody here who wishes to walk through the smoke.
Oh, my beautiful land, the land of the free.
We decided to do a heart here because of the heart of the land. The heart is the meaning of Booty, which is the national park here in the land here, and the heart of the community. And because it is about connecting, the heart connects us all. The heart is in all of us, and as long as we have a heart community, we'll always connect with each other.
He said, "Child, come walk me through the valley and tell me what you see." I see the land wasted, and it's your father's me.
The morning star in Aboriginal belief and culture represents the Great Spirit in creation, or Bayami. And Bayami is carved on the top of the ridges in Darkin Young country, right across Summersby, Carryong, right up to Wyon and right down to the Hawkesbury River. And Bayami is the creator spirit who created all things on earth. And so the coming of the first light to the earth from the Mirrabooka, which means the Milky Way, was the coming of Bayami to the earth in creation in Aboriginal Dreamtime stories. And so that's when the first light, the morning star, appeared, and it appeared in the east.
The children are laughing, and I hear the sound of didgeridoo.
I would now introduce the four elements of this land. The first element is fresh water. Water is very spiritual. It is life. It runs through us. It is all around us, and so very precious.
Oh, my beautiful land, the land
second element is earth. Earth comes from our Mother Earth. Mother sustains us and protects us. In Dreamtime, we came from the earth and we'll go back to earth.
And tell me what you see. I see the waters polluted, and it's
Third element, fire. As you walk through the smoke today, that represented cleansing and purification. Renewal, as the fire would race through our country, through our bush, there would be renewal. It represents renewal of life, recreation. And the fourth element, the salt water, representing our connection to the ocean. This country being the dreaming of the whale, connecting us to the land, to the sea.
The land that was once free.
I now invite you to walk with the Mayor, myself, and everybody here on a journey of discovery.
In talking with local communities, they don't know anything about the local history of our people. And so this ceremony actually helps them connect to that history and to, teach them about what was here and what is here, was here for thousands of years.
This headland sticks furthest to the east between Sydney and Newcastle. Captain Cook in 1770 came out of Botany Bay and turned right. So he said to his cartographer, look, there's the first point we'll see, we'll call that first point. Now, for thousands upon thousands of years, the Darkinjung and the Gringai people who came to this country called this headland Bulbararing. And Bulbararing means the king of the headlands. The little headland just near the lagoon there, the locals, in particular local surfers around here for years, have been calling that Judy. That's an abbreviation of Judy Baring. And Judy Baring means where the waves beat like heartbeats. So the perspective that a lot of people have of this land is, First Point Copacabana. But I actually live on this headland, and I believe that I live on Bulbararing, near Judy Baring. I live on the king of the headlands, near where the waves beat like heartbeats.
For those who haven't seen a whale before, what you're looking for looks like a white puff of smoke that suddenly appears on the surface of the water. And that's usually the first sign of the whale. Whales migrate along our coastline at this time each year. The reason that we can see them so well from the Central Coast is that there is a current that runs in a northerly direction, joins our coastline around about Wollongong, and the whales who are also going north hitch a bit of a ride on that current. So rather than swim against the current, they join that current and they come in nice and close to our coastline. So we are very, very lucky right here to be able to see these beautiful animals. The humpback whales have the longest mammal migration in the world. These ones that you're seeing now have left Antarctica, where they've been feeding all summer, getting nice and fat, because they don't feed again until they get back there around about December. So having left there in April, they don't feed until they get back in December. People have travelled through Winnie Bay and down here to Avoca for this celebration of the heartbeat at Avoca. What has really been the foundation of this is celebrating the land and its peoples and the land and its histories. It's an acknowledgement of the
hundreds and thousands of years of Aboriginal connection to the land, and also how we walk on the land today in this spot.
We had fires. We got the coal from those fires and carried them from McMaster's Beach to Avoca Beach, and we put those coals on another fire there.
It's a walk more than just in a physical way. It's a very spiritual walk, and this bringing together of all sectors, not just sport and the arts, it's commerce, it's school, it's the surf club, it's the Aboriginal community, it's everyone coming together for the one day.
My role was to gather the artists together. We didn't really want to impose things on the land, we wanted to sort of work with it. So we each came up with different ideas, and this idea came about through the surf club and the surfboards that were already here, so that evolved. And then the fence palings was another concept that was thought up to involve school kids, and they each painted a fence paling and put their name and address on the back of it.
There's paintings that have been by Aboriginal and non-Aboriginal artists. There's one of the art installations is in celebration of new life. There was a beautiful old tree that was poisoned. So there's going to be a ceremonial tree planting with the Aboriginal elders presiding over that.
It's important to know that we can renew this devastation by planting new trees. And this is what's important at the moment, is to start establishing this type of program within the community.
We'd like to ask one of the Aboriginal elders in the community
to participate in planting the trees, and to then have some people throw a little bit of soil into the tree and just have a positive thought and a blessing, so that these trees will grow and be strong.
All trees are sacred to women. They drop seed like a woman has babies. So that's why trees are very sacred to women. They have associated stories with women's dreaming.
I just want to talk about maybe something else you haven't considered about trees, which is their component in creating rainfall. Basically how the system works, tree roots go down into the ground and plug into the ground table. Otherwise it's not available for the sun to evaporate that water and produce clouds. And I see trees possibly as the key to repairing and bringing back the environment. So I think we should be focusing on that.
Feel the people, the happiness they have in not just the walk, but also having a closeness with art, Indigenous and environment. So it brings it all together very nicely.
Here we are having a walk that appreciates not only the natural beauty, but also the beauty with whale dreaming country. This is giving people an opportunity not only to get involved in it and to learn things, but to experience it firsthand.
to this exciting and very important event.
The rainbow serpent. We call it Guria in the language, and the rainbow serpent represents how it travelled across the land in creation or Dreamtime legends. So this is the actual movement of Guria across the land. And the rainbow serpent carries the many different colours with the universal and diversity of people coming from many different countries that now live in our land of Australia.
We brought from Carry-on Plateau the story of the whale that is engraved in the rocks up there. And that was the story of the whale of Darkinjung country.
And it was brought here by Bayami from the Mirrabooka, which means the Milky Way. And this is the same carving that is seen up on the Carry-on, which shows Bayami, who is God, creator. And the whale is carved with Bayami. And it represents kingship. The whale represents family, connections. The heart is represented in the middle of the whale. It started early this morning at 6 o'clock at Budai, and then ends and takes its final journey here at Tarragul.
The eye was also symbolic of the cross. So we took the cross and the heart from the Masters Beach, from Cochrane Lagoon, and to the whale here.
The people fill the belly of the whale because it's a symbol of saying that we are part of the whale and the whale is part of us.
In the Dreamtime, our land of Darkinjung slept in the covered mist, lay in a deep silence, in the darkness of creation. Not a tree, plant, nor animal stirred. From the Mirrabooka came the Great Spirit, Bayami, to give life to the land, to awaken the spirits of Darkinjung country with a breath of life and light. Our great rainforest grew upward, stretching out to the sky world, from the cradle of our motherland's birth. Our mountains and cliff lines rose to their glory, creating shadowy valleys below. Our oceans and lakes rippled as the waters rose and fell upon our sacred shores. Out of the rainforest, out of the oceans and lakes, out of the mountains and valleys, the animals awakened to their new dreaming, mingling together in their new creation. With new spiritual bonds, they ventured back to their dreaming places. Guria, the rainbow serpent, awoke from its sleep and moved across the land, carving the rivers and waterholes, sculpturing every shape and every form of the land. After all its work, Guria travelled to its final resting place of the Lake Tugra, submerging itself into great depth, to its everlasting sleep. This was the birth of our people, the Darkinjung.
The elders, it actually brought tears to their eyes because it was something so special that I guess touched them, because it sort of gave them recognition. If you get involved in things like this and put them on those pedestals, it gives them strength and it gives the community strength again.
One of the principles that we built this walk on was developing people-to-people relationships and people-to-land relationships.
And that's something that I'm not aware of that has been done anywhere else in terms of animating an event.
It's been a wonderful experience, starting off at McMaster's Beach. To have 400 people coming together and the joining of community groups with that spiritual emphasis given by our Indigenous people and Lila's singing, and of course in the background the whales performing. It really says this is the beginning of something which will be big, but as well as that it'll be quite beautiful actually in terms of our community.
And congratulations to everybody who's been involved. It's building this social capital that we not only need to see here, but right across the state, indeed right across Australia. And I think with the goodwill of so many people involved here today, we should just try and replicate this right across the state.
Literally months of planning has come together in such a positive way, and it's so wonderful to see everyone here so relaxed and so comfortable with the way they feel about the place and Indigenous culture, really welcoming it into their heart.
To understand us, we all need to pull down these walls and let to walk again in peace and get to know each other. Not looking down our noses and condemning, but always having that perfect peace and that love in your heart. Be with an open heart, open mind, learning to acknowledge one another.
When I think of the people of the Central Coast, I'd like to think of a whole community on the move.